Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. In this platform, we give voice to French teachers around the world, especially those in Nigeria. And we want to rub minds to know exactly, what you do and how you do it. Okay. And so before we start, we want you to tell our listeners who you are and what you do, please.
My name is Oguntunde Olusegun Ajadi. I teach French, and basically I'm a professional French teacher.
Indeed.
Yeah. Okay.
Fantastic. That's very short indeed. Very, very short. I like it that way. Okay. So I like always ask the same questions. How did you discover French, or how did French discover who you are?
Should I say French discovered me?
I would like that. Okay, good, great. So how did it happen?
Actually, I was born in a French-speaking country. I was born in Cote d'Ivoire.
Okay.
Yeah, I was born in Cote d'Ivoire, and I did my primary school and secondary school in Cote d'Ivoire. And for family reasons, I found myself in Nigeria with my mom here. And from there, I continued into the university. I was a science student in Cote d'Ivoire, warming up to go for medicine. Generally when you're in secondary school,
right?
The idea is that, okay, I want to be an engineer or a medical doctor. I was really passionate about medicine, passionate about science, and then situations turned around, and I found myself in Nigeria. And then I had nobody to advise me on how to further in the same line. So everybody was just like, okay, the only thing you can do in Nigeria here is just to go for French. And I was a kind of student in my secondary school. I was a versatile student, so I could do anything. I was ready to do anything. I was a passionate reader. So going for art in the university was just like going back to my good golden days when I was in secondary school, science student that likes to read, discover, adventure, and all those things. So when I found myself in the university, everything was just smooth. And that's the reason why from Obafemi Awolowo University, how do you call it? The Ondo campus.
Right.
Adeyemi College of Education in Ondo. I continued my education at the University of Harcourt.
All of them in French, or were you doing something different? French. Okay.
Yes, French. Still the same French line. And then when I was to specialize, I had two options: either to go for translation or take literature. If I were to go for monetary aspect, I would have gone for translation, because translation will make you get a lot of money. But I decided to follow my passion, because reading for me, novels, is just something I like to do. And I have a library here in my house, and my children know me. I like to be alone. So anytime they see me pick a book, say, Daddy is about to read. So everybody will just find their way, or I found my way in the room, read. I like reading. So I went for literature, African literature. And then this is the same thing I'm doing right now at Ignatius University, doing my PhD there. I actually started my PhD at the University of Harcourt, but the issue of ASU strike just chased me away from the school, and I then went to register in another university.
Okay, so fantastic. This is
how.
Yes. You have a very unique line. I mean, first of all, you were born in a French-speaking country, and then you came back to an English-speaking country, and you were also struggling to see the way forward. And then somebody said, "Hey, why don't you go for French?" Even though you had other areas, Well, that's great. That's fantastic. And let me ask you: you've been teaching all along for a while now. How many years now? About 10 years or more? How long have you been teaching Nigeria?
I started teaching in 2003, I think. Yes, 2003 as a
Oh, that was
professional teacher.
wow. Okay.
Yes.
So let's say you have a lot of experience.
Yes.
So can you share those experiences with us? What are the difficulties of teaching French in Nigeria? Because all along I do interview Nigerians who teach French in Nigeria. But you have a unique resume here because you were born in a French-speaking country, okay? Are there difficulties of teaching French in Nigeria to Nigerians? And if yes, what are they?
Yes, there are difficulties at different levels. We have barriers.
Of course.
Barriers. The first barrier is the language barrier.
Okay.
And the kind of preconceived idea that, after all, French is not important. We have students who come to class and tell you that, oh, my father said French is not important for me. So, you know, sometimes it can dampen your morale as a teacher. And say, oh. So the first problem is the preconceived idea that French is not important. So I think a kind of awareness need to be done. We need to sensitize our politicians and people in power, because everything starts from there. If the country has a policy and they really want to follow it, I think everything will fall in place. But the problem is that it seems people are not really conscious of the fact that Nigeria is surrounded by French-speaking countries, Francophone countries. We have Cameroon, we have Niger, we have Benin Republic, you know, surrounding us. And these are neighboring countries we interact with. And those countries are potential market for Nigerians. Do you understand? So the first barrier is just that preconceived idea that, oh, French is not important. I was teaching in a school in the southwest Nigeria, and you know there is a kind of tag, the tag French there. The Yoruba boy will come to class and tell you that my father said that French is not is a strange language. You understand? And for some children, the French language could be the third or the fourth language. So you could see the difficulty the teacher has.
The interest, yeah, the interest is not there. Right.
Raise the interest of the child. And that's why teaching French in Nigeria is very unique. The teacher needs to be somebody who is really passionate. You can't behave like the English teacher. You can't behave like the math teacher. They know that math and English are compulsory, so they will behave in your class. But the French, sometimes, so you have to turn yourself into sometimes a clown, sometimes you sing, you play with them. So try to be very, very friendly with the children to create the interest first.
To accept your course, right? Okay, I understand that. Thank you very much. Yes, yeah, you're right. I live in France, and in spite of the fact that English is very, very widely spoken around the world, in spite of that, a lot of French children still find it difficult to accept English because they, qu'est-ce que je fais avec l'anglais? What am I going to do with English? All right. And so you need to be, like you said, you need to act like a clown. You need to, you need to do something different. Say, oh, il est spécial, ce monsieur. Oh, il est marrant, ce monsieur. That's, you understand, because you want to raise interest. You just have to do it. But if a French teacher comes into the class, everybody keeps quiet because they know they cannot go anywhere without French language. Yes. But English, they see it as an extra load, okay? And that's the difficulty. So I understand that because I teach English in France. And I know the difficulties I face in my class when I go to classes, and especially as a Black guy who is teaching about 30 students who are just completely white, and they see me standing, a Black man teaching English, you know. So it's, yeah, I have some difficulties, not difficulty in teaching, no, but for them to accept that English is also necessary for them, even though English is very popular in the world, but some of them find it difficult to accept that they have to make that effort to do the English, just like that. So I understand that. Thank you very much for the insight. Okay. So now let's ask the people I interview, because I know everybody has a unique method. People have ways of teaching. Could you tell us exactly what you do, or what you're going to do if somebody says, listen, I'm not in a school form now, this is an adult. Imagine an adult who wants to do business in anywhere in France or anywhere in the French-speaking countries, and he has 3 months to learn French, at least the basic French. What are those things you need to do for him in order to help him to speak this language, at least the rudimentary ones that can help him do business and just negotiate, talk, do business in a little way? Okay. What do you do?
In teaching language, the first thing you need to introduce to the learner is the greetings, because you have to create the contact with the person you want to interact with. So you start with the greetings, and then from there, you move to the day-to-day interactive expressions. For example, for someone who wants to travel to a French-speaking country, he will lodge in an hotel. Then you need to give him that. The vocabulary is, he really need to interact with people at the hotel. And then if he's going for business, you have to also, at the third step, the first step is greetings, salutation. Then you move to the hotel environment. Then you move to the bargain, business vocabulary. C'est combien?
Ouais, des choses comme ça, quoi. Assez sweet.
Yeah. And then talk about currency, looking at the country is going to. If he's going to France, what is euro in French?
Okay.
Euro.
Okay. Now, I want to chip in there. I want to ask you, because I wanted to be specific. Okay. What I wanted to know is it possible to learn a language fast? If yes, what do we do?
Yes, to learn a language fast.
Yes. Imagine somebody says, oh, I don't have the time, especially adults, most of the time, they don't have the type of, the kind of time young children have, where they have to go for like 5 years or 10 years in the school, learning a particular thing. But an adult doesn't have that time. He has maximum 2, 3, 4, 5 months. What do you think, or what areas of French do you think this person needs? First of all, I'd like to know, because there are 4 aspects of French: the listening, the reading, the writing, okay, and the grammar. So I would like to know, which one do you focus on first to improve fluency? What do you do to improve somebody's fluency if that is what the person needs, because the person has to speak, for example?
Yeah. In that case, if it's someone you need to coach for a very short period, you need to what we call oralité. Language has to do with the spoken aspect.
Exactly.
First.
Et ben oui, n'est-ce pas? Une langue, ça se parle.
Exactly. So the listening, he should be able to understand what people are asking him. So the listening.
So number 1 is listening, okay?
Exactly. Then the spoken aspect.
Okay.
You understand? So when you are done with those 2 parts, you can now move to the written aspect for him to be able to read and understand what the writer is saying.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so fantastic.
These are the steps I take. I think
okay.
During the COVID, I have some colleagues here who were supposed to travel out of the country. They are right now in Italy. So I coached the woman for 6 months, and she went for DEF exam. She did DEF and DAF. I don't know if it's DEF or DAF.
No, DEF first, and then DAF is the advanced one.
Okay, exactly. So she did the exam and she passed.
Wow.
In 6 months of coaching, though after we started, after 3 months, I traveled, I was not around, and she enrolled with Alliance Française. So pari passu with Alliance Française, I was coaching her, and then, you know, somehow it is kind of testimony. I have a lot of testimony of people I've coached and who are now outside the country. And then when I coach those people, it's free of charge, because I believe it's my way of contributing to the society too.
Indeed.
If corporate organizations have their corporate
responsibility,
then we also need to have personal social responsibility towards the people around us.
Wow, that's great. No, it's very good, because I think it's very nice, because I also, during the COVID, I did the same. I was proposing French classes online to Nigerians. Every Monday I had free classes for Nigerians. So that's my own personal social responsibility to the society. Okay, yes, it's good. It's very, very nice. Fantastic. Great. So that's it. So what I see is that first of all, you said you do the listening. You're going to coach the person to listen and understand what the people are saying, and then practice speaking. Okay, because I always believe one thing, that if you learn in a language with your eyes only, you will find it difficult to speak. Okay, if you only read and accumulate vocabulary, even if you have 1,000 or 10,000 words vocabulary, if you don't practice using them, you find it difficult. All right. So yes, the ears are very important, and then the mouth. So you need to learn a language with your ears and your mouth. Okay, you listen and then you say. All right. But if you use your eyes, you find it a little challenging to speak. But you can write, you can read and write, but speaking is a physical activity. Okay, that means you have to practice. You don't learn bicycle by just reading it. You know, if you want to learn how to practice the bicycle, you have to go and try it. And then you know, just like playing football. If you don't play football on the TV, okay, you have to go to the field too. So language learning, language speaking, the same for me. You have to practice. If you practice, you improve. If you don't practice, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it well.
I have an experience on that.
Please.
Before coming to Nigeria, I was very good in German language. My German was very, very okay. But now I've lost like 70% of the language because
you're not speaking, right?
Yes.
You are not speaking. Exactly. So that's it. It's all about practice. The more you practice. In fact, somebody said practice makes you perfect, which I don't accept. Practice makes you improve, because you can always better your best, you see.
Yes.
Thank you very, very much. It's been a pleasure talking to you. It's an eye-opener. Thank you very much. And I hope our listeners, it's been Olusegun Ajadi Oguntunde, right? My God. Oh, all right. Sorry for killing that name, right? Okay. So I've been talking to him, and he's been lecturing since 2003. In Nigeria, okay, and that's fantastic. This is great news. So follow us on, follow us, okay. You can subscribe, follow us on YouTube, on Instagram, Facebook, all the channels, okay. We give you experts. We bring in experts to you, and so they tell you, they expose you to what they know and how they can help you. All right. So if you are around Port Harcourt area, and if you want to learn French, please call on Oguntunde. Do you have email address or somewhere people can get you online?
Yes, I have.
So give it to us, okay?
My email address is oluseguntunde03@gmail.com.
Okay.
And then on Instagram is Ajadi1. Ajadi1.
Ajadi1. Oh my God. Ajadi1. Very short indeed. Fantastic. Are you on Facebook?
Yes, on Facebook, yes. Ajadi Oguntunde. On Facebook, Ajadi Oguntunde.
Fantastic. Okay, so it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I hope our listeners would check you out and see who you are and what you do. Thank you very much for talking to us.
You're welcome.